Well, good morning, gardeners. Today it is just you and I. Bryce is away, so I thought I would bring you around for just kind of a stroll through the garden, a walking and talking tour. It's been a long time since I've done a kind of a whole tour of the whole garden, so I thought today would be, maybe less about the individual plants, more about the kind of the whole space. So, of course, you guys know I won't be able to help myself tell you a little bit about this or a little bit about that plant or tree and how it's doing in my space. But I thought this might be a good time with fall coming and just before we do a heavy trim back to kind of just share with you what the garden looks like, kind of how everything is unfolding. And that way, if you guys are in my zone 10A, I'm in Vero Beach, Florida. That if that's you and you're looking for some kind of inspiration of some different tropical, some different kind of jungle inspired type of garden, then this video might really just kind of help kind of put it into perspective. See these plants and trees, kind of how they develop together in reality, how they look in a regular garden. So this is, I'm in a pretty much a very small lot, a little under a quarter of an acre, and we've managed to put a lot of material. I've got sun gardens, I've got shade gardens, I've got kind of a little bit of a water gardens. So today's video is going to be more like, grab a cup of coffee or a drink of choice, whatever it is, and sit back and enjoy just kind of the walking and talking tour. Just like if you were to come in through my front door and say, hey, let's stroll through the garden. Tell me what's doing good. Tell me what's a diva. Tell me, tell me what's doing what. And, just as if you're a friend coming over. And it's going to be a very, very casual, very laid back tour since it's just you and I, selfie style. And that way, you guys kind of get to see what I do almost every single day, whether it's morning or evening. I will take this stroll through my garden. I have pathways all the way around my house, and that leads me from one section of the garden to the other. And so I do this. I grab my coffee or grab my glass of wine in the evening, and I will take this stroll just like we're going to do today. So I'm just taking you along with me. So I hope you guys enjoy it. I hope this is something that you love to see. If there are any plants and trees that as I'm passing by, you're like, ooh, what's that? Put it in the comments down below with a timestamp. I am going to be monitoring it over the weekend. I'll be sure to plug in the name of the plant, and if there's any information that I can quickly give on a comment, I will. But other than that, you guys, let's just get started and just relax in today's morning garden tour. Happy fall, you guys. I'm going to turn this camera around and we'll get started. All right, you guys, so we are going to get started right here off the deck. This is my spot right there where I have that cup of coffee or beverage of choice coming right off the deck here. And we're going to hit off of these Tennessee boulders. And then, of course, this is my pondless water feature. The kind of the garden is all centered off of this. This is right out of my back door. I really wanted a good visual of this this feature. I'm just absolutely in love with it. I'm always tinkering with it. I just planted this Queen Emma in the water. We're going to see how it does. I just put in my impatience for the season. I could not wait. As soon as fall came, I'm like, yes. So we just got a clustering of sloppy painters to the back, some little touch of variegated gingers in there. Of course, the big cat palms to the back to kind of give us some softness. Everything kind of got a little bit of a haircut about last month, so it looks a little bit thin back there. But they do such a good job of becoming a nice backdrop, and I'm in love with it. You'll notice that I love to put variegated or bright colors towards the rear of a dark section. So pulling your eye all the way to the back, I think, is important when you have dark areas in the garden. So that's why I've got my big old sloppy painter right there, and then I popped in a few other ones throughout the years, and of course the variegated ginger is popped in through there. And then the shining glory, my La Quala palm. Oh, she is just stunning. She's doing really well now. Took her 2 years to be happy in that particular spot because the wind is really crazy right here, and she just doesn't love it. I have another one on the end of the garden that you guys have seen several times in the videos that is just so super, super stunning, and has grown 3 times faster than she has because it's in the proper spot. Just down below, I don't know if you can catch that right there, but that is the bloom on the ground orchid. I love those purple ground orchids. I just think they're just so fun. If you guys are looking for a really good bromeliad, the Johannes bromeliad, that right there, that can handle full sun and shade. The more sun it gets, the more that pink little tone it gets. It's absolutely a wonderful bromeliad. And if you pair it with something like the neighboring plant that I've got next to it, which is the imperialis bromeliad, that also can take full sun. I've got those, don't mean to skip around on you guys, but I've got those right here on each side of the steps. And you can see the more sun they get, the more of that purple tone they get, the more shade they get, but obviously the more green they're going to remain. But that is a fantastic sun long-term bromeliad, because I have trouble with finding good long-term bromeliads because I don't like to change them out every season, but that's one of my favorites. And I don't know if you guys know this, but elephant ears, alocasias can live directly in the water. Queen Emmas can live directly in the water. All you do is wash off all the dirt, put the roots just raw in there, put a little bit of rock around it to kind of hold it in place, and they will just grab a hold of that rock and live beautifully and help filtrate the water, which is amazing that they do that. Oh, sorry, this sun is not great, but hopefully you guys can caught that there. Okay, and then we have a giant bird's nest fern. Look at that bad boy anchoring the bottom of my triple spindle palm. I love to see that guy every time I pass through. He's being crowded by a Rojo Congo right there, and that Rojo Congo is attaching to this spindle palm and going to make its way up the tree, which I just think is so charming. I just think that is so cool, like he's taking him on for a ride. Then we're moving on. This is a newer planting that I did. I don't know if you remember this, but I had dwarf alocasias right here in this grouping, and they were beautiful, but they got like, 4.5, 5 foot tall, and then I couldn't see the aglaonemas back there any longer. So I moved those to another area and brought in one tree fern that I cannot wait till it gets some size to it here, and then some silver lady dwarf tree ferns. So they're going to be around 5 foot in lower heights there. And then this tree fern will be around 14 foot, but they'll have, when they're 5 foot, they'll have a couple foot of trunk, so I'll still be able to see my aglaonemas to the back. I think that's going to be a much nicer selection, or much nicer view, and I just love this leaf. Look at that tree fern leaf. Isn't that just stunning? And it's pretty much still a baby. I bought it in a 3-gallon size, and then bought these guys also in a 3-gallon size. And you notice I pointed them towards where I'm sitting, towards where I'm facing over on the deck, because I want them to kind of come out like this and be a really good, just almost like they're saying, good morning. This is a green Congo that's attached to the tree and making its way up. Now these Congos that are attaching to the trees, they're a good 15, maybe even 20 years old before they start doing that. It does take some time for them to do that, but they're just now getting to the point of doing just that. This is a little 3-gallon Laquala. I put him in last year, and I bet he's grown a foot, maybe even 2 foot since I put him in. This is the perfect environment for a little tree like that. Between this canopy of other palms, look at this, just how covered and protected it is. It gets filtered light. Midday, you'll be able to see all of the speckled light on this guy, so it's getting just the perfect amount of light. Very little wind harming it. It's just the leaves are just so pristine. So if you guys have got like a courtyard setting that gets some protection, very little wind, some filtered light from the sun, then that's going to be a perfect little tree. They'll grow into 14 or 15 foot, but they're absolutely the slowest growers. And even when they're grown, they're stunners in the garden. So I just love the way they look. My Pananga coronata, more vertical tree, kind of like cousin of the lipstick palm. Love that curl that it gives. Such a beautiful upright tree. You guys can put that in just about any spot in a narrow garden. Great courtyard tree. Does prefer some filtered light, can handle full sun, but the afternoon sun could burn it a bit. So it's a perfect environment. Or you can grow that guy in the water too. I've got just a collection of ties and quarter lines back there. The diamond quarter line, she is really popping out. You can kind of see them right here with the pink. And then I've got one back there. Those are transplants from the mother plant. I love plants that give you free plants. Let me come back here on the flagstone so you guys can see the Sanchesia. Now, some people love Sanchesia, some people not so much. And I don't understand it because this is what they do and they look like this all the time. And now I will tell you, they do not like full sun, full sun. They like some protection from the sun, unless you're able to water them daily because they'll need that to kind of put up with the sun effect. But I just love this leaf. I love the size. Now it takes a good 6 months to really to fill in and thicken up and cluster together. You don't want to plant just one. You want to plant a big collection of them, like 5 or 6, and let them do their thing because they don't want any kind of competition with any other plant. So, but they're a perfect skirt plant. I just love them in the garden. My big mamma jamma bottle palm coming over top of the walkway. A little selection of some crotons. My dumb cane Dieffenbachia. This is the camo variety. What a great compliment that camo variety makes to my white lady right there. I love this statue. And they've got dark coloring all the way around her, and then highlighted her with that Dieffenbachia. It's just such a beautiful touch. And then the Rojo Congo climbing up the tree. Now that guy is 20 plus years. But that guy, look at how he frames over top of her. A couple years ago, he was in the perfect spot. He was literally just kind of coming over top of her head, and it was just so stunning. It was like so picturesque. I just thought it was so beautiful. I wish it would have stayed, but now it's working its way up well, actually, the tree is working its way up, and it's just working its way with the tree. This is the La Koala I was telling you about. Now, this guy has outgrown the one by the water feature, and I planted that way earlier. This guy has only been in the ground maybe 3 years and has just look at has some good trunk to him already. Really, really just showing off and doing what La Koalas were meant to do in a garden, which is pretty much be a huge contrast from that kind of weepy type of frond there to the weepy frond of the cat palms in the back, the more upright fronds of that traveler's palm. It's just a different frond altogether, and that, to me, that just screams, that uniqueness screams, look at me in the garden, which I love. So got some beautiful Lady Claire crotons, some magnificent and ice tone crotons there, and then these burl marks. These little burly guys are just so perfect in the garden. Look at how they kind of soften the edge, just like the Sanchizia do. Now you want to plant these guys the same kind of way, 4 or 5 at a time, cluster them and let them hang over. And just goodness, to me, they're just such a nice selection of plant grooming. I love sitting in this chair right here at the end of my property line underneath the jasmine trellis and looking down that way at the garden, because I just feel like it's just such a, I'm going to show you guys. I'm actually going to pop over here in one of these chairs and show you kind of what I look at when I look down this way. In this spot in the garden right here where I'm sitting, it is the shadiest spot all day long, every day. I don't even know how my jasmine blooms because it doesn't get any sun right here. And so this is always the cool spot in the garden, which when I put chairs here, I thought, well, there's very little chance I'll come here and sit, other than maybe change my playlist when I'm out here gardening or weeding. But I find myself sitting here a lot, especially when I come out here in the evening with the dog. I let the dog forage around, and I'll sit here and have a glass of wine, and it's just so perfect. And so funny enough, my husband, who complained about putting the trellis way back here at the end of the yard, he's like, oh my gosh, he'll come right out here and sit with me. He doesn't want to sit at the end of the garden. I'm like, yeah, let's do that. All right, so while we're sitting here, I'll just touch on some of the plants on this corner right here. When we go all the way around the garden, we'll hit the other side so that way you guys get a better view, because I know I skipped around on you, but I don't want this video to be 2 hours long, so we'll just touch on them as we go. Some Song of India down below. These Song of India, I'm going to keep them around 3 foot tall. Now, Song of India can get huge if you let them, but they can also be a chunky monkey, 3 foot tall, and absolutely gorgeous in the garden, and just stay that vibrant color. And you can see how dark that spot is in my garden. So adding some dark crotons near it, some dark gingers next to it, really kind of draw your eye right to that. And that's what I love about variegated plants in a dark space, because they really just do that so well. My triple bottle palm, it's just about over top of my pool wall. I can just start to see it when I'm sitting in the pool in that little back courtyard area. And then the red cone ginger. This deserves a close-up right here as we work our way up. Aren't these guys stunning? They're perfect for a spot just like this where you're going to wrap a corner, because they really do just like to blur the line. I'm looking for the perfect statue or potted plant. Let me come back down here so you can see what I'm talking about. Right there, so that way I have something that kind of comes up, whether it's some kind of corner feature. I think is going to be really cool there, but I'm going to be patient and wait and find the perfect thing. I've got a Calusia hedge here that kind of borders my my neighbor from us for a little privacy, even though I love my neighbor. This is ground orchid. It's a purple ground orchid. I've got them there, and then also got them, hopefully the sun will cooperate here, right here. I mean, look what a great border they make. They do want that filtered light, so some sun protection for sure on those guys. And then, of course, they're just such a beautiful highlight with those cool red cone ginger. I just love them. Right. I've got a crazy scarola here. I love this plant, but my goodness, I have to trim it all the time. So I'm probably not putting that anywhere ever again. I've got a plumeria tree that we just had to really cut back. We had some solar panels installed, so we had to really cut that back, but it's going to flesh out as a bright pink. An avocado tree from the best avocado I have ever seen. I'm sorry, I wish I could tell you guys what kind it is. It's one of my customers who turned a great friend, gave me a seedling, and oh my goodness, she's got some, I've got some, and we're both like, cannot wait until this guy starts producing. But he's doing fabulous. My poor attempt at tomato plants. This is a runaway double peach hibiscus. So I wanted a little bit of a coverage break from here, from this side, because it's the other side is my bathroom window. So I wanted some bright colors here, but my husband stuck a runaway thatch palm in there. So we're gonna have to move that poor little guy because he's getting engulfed, and I don't want to. I want these guys to bloom, and you guys know hibiscus bloom the best when they're 4 to 5 foot tall. Anything under that, they really struggle. They just don't like to be trimmed that much. Some good morning blew my mind. Good morning, you guys. They just pop out. It's so funny how they close up at night, but in the morning they pop open. Absolutely stunning. At the end of the side yard garden is my triple pindo palm. Hope you guys can get that. I'm so sorry for the sun. This is, you know, I'm not the best camera person, but we're gonna head right over this way. This is my gated entry to my front door. I have a little seating section. You guys know how I feel about my seating sections. I come home, I grab whatever drink, I come out here or in the back and sit. I turn the music on and just relax and you know, hang in the yard. This is my vacation spot, and this is what I wanted. It's taken a lot of years to build it, but I'm so pleased with it. This is my koi pond. I don't know if you guys can see those little guys down there. There's about 10 koi in there. They're very shy. They only come out when I feed them, like teenagers. I've got just a mix of little planted. I've got an iris that's struggling there in the water. It's time for me to put in my my impatiens. That's going to be a tomorrow project. I've got them all stacked on the side over there, so I'm getting ready to go. I guess we're going to go this way. So this is my only sense of front yard, pretty much. I got a pagoda right by my gate here. A pinwheel jasmine. Look at this pinwheel jasmine. I get comments all the time about pinwheel jasmine and being lanky and crazy. Everywhere I have them, they're lush and they're full. I think because they bloom so much that people don't trim them, but they love, love, love to be trimmed. So if you like this kind of look, they don't have fragrance, but how cool is that brightness of that pinwheel? And they don't need tons of sun. They can handle full sun. They can handle you know, maybe just a couple hours of sun. They can handle almost all shades, so, and still bloom, which is amazing. You guys, my bougainvilleas are very sad right now. We had a terrible storm a couple weeks ago, so they got knocked over. Well, this one got knocked over, so we had to really cut them back. But it's so sad because they were blooming. This one is 3 colors, pink, purple, and white. And then this is a variegated purple. And then this one is a pink and purple. And when they're going to town, I just love, love, love them. I got my little mermaid bird bath. And the solar thing is not working yet because the sun's not quite there yet, but it's got a little solar thing that spits up so we could see the birds coming. This is a big mamma jamma of a white Anderson crepe hibiscus. The blooms are not yet open, but this was the ugliest tree for the longest time. It was like the cousin it tree. It just kind of sprawled out and didn't do anything. And then after a couple years of trimming, just before I was getting ready to move it somewhere else or get rid of it, it just started really kind of coming together. And now it's more of a rounded mushroom kind of, not really mushroom, it's kind of more of a rounded shape. At the top and really, really taking off. So I just love the way it looks now. I'm so glad we kept it. I have a little pinwheel jasmine down below it that gets no sun, so you can still see we're still in blooms there with no sun. This one you guys may have not had a chance to see yet. This is a European olive tree. Yes, we can have those here, and they do beautifully. Normally I would put this in the pot, but I'm going to test it here for now, and then I'm waiting for the perfect big cement pot for it. I just want a big or a terracotta pot, something like that, that could really hold it, and then I'll cut it back and let it get a good sized trunk to it. But I just think it's so cool, especially against that green collusia that's there. I've got another bougainvillea. You notice only bougainvilleas are in pots. They do the best that way. They bloom the best that way, and then you can really keep them under control without them being your bougainvillea and your neighbor's bougainvillea and their neighbor's bougainvillea, and you get the point, right? So yeah, so this is my kind of what I see from the front back. Now I have a septic tank right here. That was a big part of why I had everything in pots here. But yeah, I love the privacy that this collusia has offered. It's kind of like my fence, but in my community we can't have a front fence. So this is the best option I had to work with, which I would prefer a green fence over any other fence any day. I've got 3, oh gosh, the sun. Let me go over here, you guys. Maybe that's better. I've got 3 big giant foxtail palms. They have curves to them, so they kind of curve this way, that way, and this way. I know it might be hard to see from this angle because Bryce is not behind the camera. But they curve around this centerpiece tree. This is a Copernicia falensis, and it is just so dynamic. Look at the fan on this. I wish I could be in front of it to give you some perspective. But this thing is probably 11, 12 foot tall, and the fans are probably 5 foot across. It's just so cool and so upright and dynamic. And then I've got a clustering of king sagos around it, a fire spike bush to the back, and then several sanchesia. And you guys don't judge. I mean, look at this. What do they say about landscapers or cobblers and no shoes? Same problem with landscaping. I need to trim. These are just they're in a different zip code. It's been probably 6 months since they've been trimmed, and they really, really need a good haircut. And these, my poor Emery lantanas, they were blooming like crazy all summer long, and I was one of those people that I was just talking about who didn't want to trim it because it was gorgeous, and now it's seen better days. It needs a really good cut back in half. My triple bottle palm, look at the base on that guy. He is just wow. That's the first thing that people see when they walk into the backyard, because as soon as you come around this corner, it is just, you're just welcomed by this guy. Or my husband says you're just slapped in the face by this guy. Because literally we've got him tied back to not, interfere, be inappropriate to everybody who has to walk down this walkway. But at some point he's going to be large enough to where he's over top of everybody's heads. They just grow so slow. So you saw the big collection of antilus. The antilu collection has been growing for 15 plus years. Every time I trim it, I just take one stalk off and put it back in that collection, so it gets broader and broader and broader, to the point where I might have to stop doing that because because it too is encroaching on the walkway. Maybe I should have made the walkway a little bit bigger, but yeah. So this is where I spend a lot of my time when I'm not in the backyard. I love it out here. It is time for all the impatiens to go to town. This whole bottom area gets flooded with impatiens this time of the year. It's one of my favorite times. Oh, I almost missed this guy. This is right outside my front door. I'll back up into here so you can see. This is a Fiji palm. Definitely something in 10A, but anything cooler than that, I'd probably say is not going to do so well because they don't like the cold. So anything below 32 degrees, I would probably skip out on this guy. But if you're anything warmer than that, definitely worth having in the garden. So dynamic, beautiful, almost like a lime green coloring to the leaf. And I just love how he's paired with those quarter lines, those anti-luke quarter lines. I think they just go so well together. And then my big giant mass of blazed copperleaf. Now, I've had a love-hate relationship with this plant. I love it, love it, love it in the sun. However, in this shady section of the garden, I know it doesn't look shady because now we have sun this time of the morning for about an hour, and then it starts to just kind of disappear in this area. You don't get that color that I get in the front. So more than likely, the next time you guys see me do a garden tour, I'm either going to move these or take these out and go with something a little bit lower in this spot that can give me a blast of color in this area. I just not liking how the blaze kind of dull out. So kind of keep that in mind. If you're in a shade garden and you love the look of blaze, you're not going to get that vibrancy that blaze offers in the shady area. And then right here, you guys, oh my goodness, look at this guy. He's in a pot because he'll go to town. So you definitely want to put this tapioca in a pot. It is just such again, coming around the corner, that bright pop of just, hello, is just so perfect right there. I've cut him back so many times. I literally cried about a month or two ago. We had a terrible rainstorm that came through and the wind caught it just perfect. But at that time, it had this big arching leaf that came all the way over here. And it was just like, it looked like it was because it's following the sun. That's what they're going to do. And it was just stunning. This is a portion of that limb that was left there. But it was so beautiful. It looked like just a big, it's just like a big wave of color when you came around this corner. So I was so sad to see it go. But you know, it's already popping back, and probably 3 months from now, it'll look like it did. This is a Malaysian ground orchid. Blooms beautifully in the spring and in the fall. Look at that. Now I had no luck with this guy in the ground. But in the pot, oh, does it beautiful. I mean, they bloom like crazy, absolutely gorgeous. I love filling them with aglaonemas because they're kind of a little lanky. They're beautiful at the ends, but in the middle, they kind of don't do much. And I'm kind of a plant filler. I don't like empty spots, as you guys may have noticed, but you're my people. You guys, I'm sure, are the same way. And so the aglaonema take up the filler, and then these guys are the showstoppers at the edges. I have them actually sitting back here. They're starting to come back. They got a good haircut recently, but that's what those are there. They're actually sitting in pots back there because I've tried to put them in the ground and they just die out. Like they just don't make it. I wish they would because they're such a beautiful bush. I've got a pagoda transplant that I'm starting to bring all my pagodas back here because I would love to see all that orange right here as you come around this corner. I got some old Chinese fan palms coming around this space. Some ice tone crotons. Now you notice these ice tone crotons are in filtered light, but they're getting enough sunshine that they keep that real vibrant color. So if you get about 3-4 hours of sunshine a day, this is what those look like. The ones that you saw in the back earlier, those get maybe an hour, maybe 2, and it's filtered light, and they're much darker. So that's just kind of, I love them when they're this coloring. So this is my favorite. But I love them back there too. I prefer them in this kind of vibrant tone. Down here is Silver Bay aglaonema. I have nothing but great things to say about aglaonema. And the Maries down here are absolutely stunners. They're my ground forest floor. They're the plants that you can put along the ground and they will choke out your weeds. They will give you just a beautiful blanket coverage like they would in the forest. They're just so good about that. And then some Sanchisia popping up with some height as a backdrop there. Okay, so we're gonna go down this side of the walkway here. I've got some heart ficus and bagel, some variegated heart ficus. They look like a little heart. They're just so fun. Another laquala right here. I've got 5 areca palms as my backdrop here. It's gonna be hard to see this guy. This is my Obi Island palm that is supposed to grow slow, but he is really taken off the last few years. Look at him there. He's probably a good 12 foot tall just underneath my hurricane palm. This is a gate from an old coffee shop that went out of business during COVID. It was just so quaint, and I found it on Marketplace and knew I had to have a garden gate to this back section of the garden. This is my living wall. No judgment, you guys. It does need a little bit of help. I've been very busy, and this living wall, it's one of those things. I don't know what happens when you think that, gosh, this hardly ever needs any work. Once in a while, I'll come in and touch it up a little bit, do a little bit of work to it. But because it doesn't need any work, I forget about it all the time. So it's probably been 7 or 8 months, maybe longer, since I've really done much to it, other than pick off a brown leaf here and there. And I'll do that when I'm taking my walks. I'll pick off the brown leaves that come on the bird's nest ferns there. But I'll pop in any suckers of the elephant ears. I'll just put them right into the pots, and then you can see how well they do. I love alocasia elephant ears for that reason. They just really go to town. Just make sure you use the dwarf. Welcome to the jungle was a gift sign that we put in. I just think it was perfectly and suited the wall so well because it is pretty much a jungle on a wall. And but yeah, it's doing really nicely. Some of my orchids on the Arikiri palm. This is a cool dwarfed palm tree. My lemon tree, who doesn't seem to want to produce right there. And then look at how beautiful the orchid is doing on that. I don't know the name of that orchid. Dancing something, I think. I'm not really an orchid person, but I'm becoming one because I just love how they attach to your trees and just gives you more real estate. I've got a fire spike right there. It's a magenta color, not yet in bloom, but will go to town. A Rhapis palm in a pot, and a little selection of my agaves there, my banana leaf crotons. Look at the difference between sun, well, as much sun as this side gets, and a little less sun. I mean, look at how green. It's the same croton there, and then look how much more vibrant these leaves are. And then I've got one that we're going to see in a second that's in a good amount of sun, good most of the day sun, and it is much, much nicer. Oh, this is a devil's backbone. I don't know the origin on that one, but I thought it was just such a cool plant. It really suits my pot, which is now crooked, I just see. Oh, I not see that on my daily walks. But yeah, so that it's just an easy plant to put somewhere. I've got them in hanging baskets over here, and you can see they get a little bit more sun, so they have pink tinged leaves. How cool and pink that is. I hope that's coming across, but they're just absolutely loving it up there. The sun and then the stress from not too much water will give it that pink kind of tone. This is in the shade more, and you can see the leaves are more that variegated with just a tad bit of pink to them. But what a crazy, crazy old plant that is. I have my water feature turned off over here because it's housing my plants. I got some oversized impatiens for the pond, and they were falling over everywhere, so that was the only spot I could think to put them. I have a cold coconut palm behind my wall here, my water fountain wall. And then, of course, tapped in as this tree started to get some size to it. Forever, it was the lowest thing in the garden. It gave me great blockage, but now it's not. And the Brazilian red cloaks are going to pop up and give me that secondary coverage back here. And then some big old mamma jammas. I'm going to come down here so you guys can see them. I'm so sorry for my camera work, you guys. But just imagine you're here with me, and we've had a couple glasses of wine. There we go. Here we are. Okay, so those are two spindle palms. They are full grown. They're around 18, 19 foot tall, and they are just glorious. When I look out from the deck where I sit, they're just two matching perfect trees. I love them. And then of course the cold coconut palm is the backdrop to that tree, and then the wall and water feature down below it really gives you that kind of just, I am in a resort kind of feel, which is what I was hoping for here. This is another one of those banana leaf crotons that are just green, green, green. Another Fiji palm, that was a baby coming up. And then some Sanchesia and Nestor crotons right there that are soaking up most of the sun on this corner here. Now we get back into the backyard drainage easement pretty much. It's a pretty much just a useless space right here, because when we do get hurricanes or really bad storms, this area will collect with water. So hence why the trees are planted at angles. These are plumeria trees. I have them planted going this way and the opposite direction going the other way. That way, as they grow in, they're going to search for the sun, fill in this upper part of this area, connecting together, kind of giving me what I have on the opposite side, which is almost like an arbor effect. But I'm hoping that they'll get enough sun that they can do that with blooms. That is my neighbor's sable palm that's soaking up a lot of their sun. But unfortunately, hopefully they'll kind of work their way around that. They're squirrely little trees, as you can see. They really kind of just take awesome shapes and do what they want. They're trying to find the sun. So I'm really hoping for kind of more of an art piece there. I love how that looks in the garden. We have a double bottle palm that's starting to finally come to town. I've got a Calusia hedge as my kind of my privacy border there from the neighborhood behind us. A pagoda mixed with a bunch of Brazilian red cloaks. And then I don't know if you can see this tree to the back, but that is the traveler's palm back there. Isn't she extraordinary? The blooms are getting ready to come. Oh, you can kind of see a little bit of that. I don't know if you can catch that. It's coming across on camera, but oh yeah, beautiful. Carpoxylon palm right there, really starting to come into her own. And I've got the mate to that one. Well, I assume it's a mate because, you know, they're across from each other. They've been living together for a very long time. But on the back side of my patio area is the mate, and he's very happy. And they were planted the same size, but this guy gets way more sun. Let's see what the sun does to these trees. And just look how green. I don't know if that's coming across, but just how green that trunk is. Just beautiful, beautiful tree. They are slow growers. I've got a gardenia tree right near my seating section. This is a little walkway that leads back to where I put a lot of my debris back there behind the berm. You know, a lot of fallen fronds and such. So now we're back onto the walkway area where we started. This too is another easement area that goes back to just kind of for maintenance purposes. I had to do a terrible haircut on my poor Sanchesia. Look how good they look here, but right here on this walkway, because my husband says a walkway is meant for walking. I tend to disagree, but you know, you got to work with a functional landscape, right? Oh, so right over here to the right, this is those are the banana leaf crotons in the sun. So look at how just glorious they are, that brightness to their leaf under the Madagascar palm. This area, you can tell, just look how much more sun, or how much more color sun offers. So this whole collection right here is full sun. Well, I say that, but it's not sunny right now, but it's almost full sun all afternoon. So it's just such a cool little grouping. I have it raised slightly because everything in this area is pretty drought tolerant, from the agaves to the Madagascar to the crotons, even the bromeliads. And I don't want to take any chance of this getting too much water, and it drains really, really well when you raise it. So that's kind of why I have kind of a makeshift Tennessee boulder edge there. And then it drops down a little bit more in elevation over there where things can handle more of that. Now we're back on the pathway. We're going to look at this side a little bit better. The mammy crotons, foxtail ferns wrapping like a halo around the false agave. And then the male false agave, which I think is stunning. He's going to be huge, 6 foot right here. Hopefully he won't block my my cool little statues. This is called the imperfect pear. I found these on Marketplace. I just think they're so cool. They're from a little town in Mexico. Its town has got like a big art movement. Like if you go to this town, it starts with a T. I cannot think, Tonalon or Tona. I'm gonna totally butcher that. But you go through that town and it's just everywhere is art, and it's got it in the main easement lines. It's got it in the medians. It's got just this crazy amount of local artists have put up everything through that town. So it's just a wonderful place. I would love to go see it, but I actually found that in Port St. Lucie in Marketplace, and then the person who had gotten it there was telling me all about it, and of course I had to go look it up, and then after I bought them, and then I just thought, oh, this is a place I want to go visit because they're just such cool pieces and such interesting different takes on art there. Up next to that is my desert rose. It's a bright double pink flower. Guy's been here with us for, gosh, I don't know, 25 years. Right here down below, let's see if I can get the bloom on this guy, is my my dwarf jasmine tree. It's called Radabranchera. I love these leaves. I love these blooms. They have like a citrus fragrance. My daughter-in-law loves them every time I smell them, because I didn't know at first when I first started using them that they had a fragrance. And she goes, oh my gosh, they have a fragrance. And I'm like, really? So they do. It is subtle, but it is a fragrance. But it's just a stunning little tree. I just started using it a couple years ago, so I don't have a lot of experience with it. So of course, I tested it out in my own house, and a couple years later, I'm in love with it. I'm using it everywhere. It's just such a lacy kind of, the wind blows it and it just moves. And if you're you like cutting gardens, those are great. You can clip them and put them in some water. I have them an old little teapot, a teapot collection, because I'm going to be the perfect grandma ever. I have a teapot collection inside, and I don't drink tea. I drink coffee. But I just love teapots. So I'll put little clippings in my teapots throughout the house, in the kitchen area and dining room and whatnot, and those will last me a month, sometimes two. Just change the water, and the greenery is just gorgeous. It just stays looking so nice. I've got excellence crotons right here, and then a Dayun palm as a centerpiece in a pot there. This is sitting on an old tree stump, so there wasn't anything I could plant there, so that Dayun palm was a happy accident. I love it there. Love the pot. Came from a pottery shop in Fort Pierce. They were the sweetest people, small family-owned company. And I'll see if I can put the description, or put their information in the description. But it was lovely to meet all of them. I also got my little mushrooms, and I don't know if you can see it over there, but the little frog. Sometimes I put him in the garden, the blue frog that's up there. And every time I walk through it, anyway, it's a whole thing. But he's like the elusive tree frog. Some people do elves, I do tree frogs. And then we are back where we started, you guys. I am starting an orchid collection hanging on this arbor underneath of this hurricane palm. This is where my variegated jasmine are starting to come in. Can't wait for blooms this season. But look at these guys. This one's in his second bloom, doing so well. I was so happy to see the blooming cycle start. And yeah, I think that's going to be really cool. I'm going to hopefully have several of them hanging, and then the jasmine will take over and fill up this whole area, and then it'll just kind of be a big blast of purples and whites. All right, you guys, thank you so much for joining me on this tour today. I hope you enjoyed it. I'm glad we weren't able to miss a weekend, even though that Bryce couldn't join us today. But I thought I would just take you with me on this garden walk and talk. Happy fall, and I will see you guys next weekend for a brand new video. Take care.